right, welcome to this fourth part as we've been on the journey over the last 5 days, looking at where you are in your business, where you find your business is chaotic, things not working, which is ironic because things were working until you hit a certain level of success. And in that success, your problems arose. Suddenly, your people are no longer good. They've become poor. You've got no documentation. You're staying up late. Your wife's pissed off with you. Your husband is like, where are you? Your kids are annoyed. It's super stressful. You've started drinking. It's a nightmare. Through to a place where you have realized that you need consistent results, and those results come from systems. This means that suddenly your people are transformed from being poor to being great people. They love working there. And we've been on that journey to bridge that gap, to make, how do you move from those two places, or from the painful difficulties of a business not working, despite revenue, despite team, despite everything apparently going well, yet the wheels are falling off, to go through to a business that's actually working consistently with or without you, and giving you the opportunity to continue on and take the profits, continue to work in it and draw the profits out of that business, or also sell at a much higher multiple than would be available if it was just selling a job. So we looked at the steps between that, establishing where are you now, then through to simplifying what is the minimum viable systems. Then yesterday we covered structure, how to structure systems. And today we come to the wonderful scaling. Like, how do you scale with this stuff? Because even if you have your structure in place, you've got to know how to use it. So we're going to cover that today. And there's 4 main ideas here. One is copy to use. So anything that is a template in your business, you want to keep your templates clean. And so if it gets used in a process or it gets used in a system, then you want to copy it so that you've got the template protected, and then you can use the template to produce the actual result. So this means often that you copy the template and then you grab the link and stick it into the results section so that you can easily find it. Next up, you have the idea of tracking your progress. Look, this is critical. And one of the dangers is that people who are really good at systems will just move through and do all the work, but they will forget to track their process. Now, this may be okay as long as everything goes well and there are no distractions and they never get sick and they any difficulties in their work. Because if they forget to do that, they can't tell where they're up to. You can't tell where they're up to. What are the results of this system that are getting tracked? Where are we up to? Are they being worked on? Is it complete? It means that you can't work together as a team, and you certainly can't look as a manager or as the owner of the business and see what is going on in the business. You are blind. So it is critical that even in your team that have done it 50 times before, know how to do it backwards in their sleep, that they still track their progress. What have we got next? Well, use the instructions. Guess what? One of the great things about having a system is that there's documentation. There's actually stuff written down how to do it. Now, remember back in structure, we talked about rough drafting. And the cool thing about systems is that as you use them, and if you use the instructions, you can improve the instructions. So you want to use them so you can go, actually, that's not working anymore. That isn't accurate anymore. Something changed. Let's tweak that. Let's also have a look and compare to making sure that it still gives us the result. Like if you go through the system and follow it accurately and you don't get the result that you want, then hey, it needs to be changed. But most of the time, the instructions are going to work and your team will run into problems if they don't use them. But they still need to look. And so you want to write them in a way that they can be used for someone who's never done that system before, who's done them a few times and is just looking for keys, and then someone who's done them a lot and they just want the big picture. But they must be written so that someone who's never done them before can do them. And this is going to give you redundancy in your team. Like you can move a team member across, and even if they haven't done it before and it's not an area that requires like some specialized knowledge, like you're not going to be able to do this with, say, brain surgery or coding or things like that. But for most tasks, it's like, okay, well, how do I do this? And they might not be fast, but they will be able to accurately do the work. And if that means that you can bring more staff in to meet a deadline, or you have someone who doesn't show up because they're sick, then you can still fill that work. And this plays in with that second idea of tracking, because if they do get distracted or they do get taken away from work, you can actually tell where they're up to. It's like, oh, great, they're on process 3. Let's go. Okay, wonderful. Well, they're creating this result. Great, we're stuck here. It needs to move. This is the next result that we're generating. So finally, we come to the last idea of this scaling is improve as you go. So I've been reading a bit on the Phoenix Project. Super cool book, like loved it. It basically speaks of IT's journey and following the Toyota Kata. I believe it's Toyota Kata, the way of doing business at Toyota. And Toyota revolutionized car manufacturing, and then IT was like, oh, not working. Maybe we should look at manufacturing and see what they've done. And then the DevOps movement arose out of that. But one of the critical steps in DevOps is this idea of improvement. And the same in manufacturing, improvement, improvement, improvement. So much so that they spoke of a story in Toyota manufacturing where if there was an error that went outside a range, they would pull the plug and the entire manufacturing line would stop until that was fixed. Because they knew if it didn't get fixed, then it would have massive ongoing problems. Now, you're probably not going to have that in your business, but what you can do is take the idea of improving as you go, that you continually work on your instructions, that you make them better. I love the idea of Kaizen. If you're not familiar with this term, it basically means like a 1% improvement, a small improvement every day, small improvement, small improvement, small improvement. It might mean adding a link where there was a description of going to the link and you just added the link. And that small improvement means that tomorrow it's 5 seconds shorter to do that system. And this doesn't sound like much, like 1%. How could that possibly make a difference? But it does, because over time, that improvement, things get better to be done. Things get clearer. It's quicker to understand them. Perhaps even when you have a really stable system and you're like, you know what, we're at pretty much peak improvement for the documentation. Or what's the next step? Okay, how can we make this better? Or why don't we make a video of each of the small parts of this process so that someone who's never done it before doesn't just have the text, but they also have the video. The advantage of this is that the videos can really help those who've never done it before. They're like, okay, I think I'm getting what this description is. Oh, there's a video? Cool, click it. And suddenly it opens up the video. They watch it and they're like, oh, great, that confirms what I'm reading. Next time through, they don't need to see that video. They can just go and see the text. So that small improvement makes a big difference over time. All right, so these are, in review, your steps to scaling. Number 1, copy to use. Number 2, track your work. Number 3, use the instructions. And number 4, improve as you go. All right, that completes our journey here. We'll do a review session tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you then as we cover an overview of this entire journey to get you from a business that doesn't work to one where your systems are firing, your systems on point, and you are back in the role as entrepreneur. I'll see you then.